Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace, healing, and a light. And welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And if you are new to the show, again, welcome, beautiful souls. On today's episode, we have an amazing guest joining us today, my brother, Marquis Muhammad, as we'll be discussing today's topic, family feud and the need for unity. Brother Marquez, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. She did the Spanish version of my name, Brother Marquis, but Marquez works for if you're in Spain. That's cool.
See, hey, you guys, if I keep getting his name wrong, do not get mad at me. So
it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Okay, great. Praise be to Allah. All right, Brother Marquez. Did I say it right? Marquez? Okay. All right, Brother Marquez. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for those who may not know who my brother is, I would like to give a brief bio. Brother Marquez, I know I was going to get
it. This is funny. This is great. I love it, though.
Brother Marquis Henri Muhammad is a speaker and thought leader. His philanthropy includes aiding in the development of a school in South Central Los Angeles, orphanage in the Gambia of Africa, providing doctors and medical aid in rural areas of Kenya, and the raising of funds for various national and international humanitarian efforts. He teaches, trains, and mentors and molds inner city youth. He co-leads a summer camp, which includes bringing youth to the mountains for critical mental, spiritual, and physical training and development in preparation for life. He's also a relationship advisor, a military drill instructor, and a trainer for Black men looking to activate discipline in their lives, all while running an entertainment production company whose rosters includes his beautiful and amazing wife, Nilam. Now, did I get her name right? I hope I said it.
Oh, definitely.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, brother. And with that beautiful introduction, do you have anything you want to add or include that our audience don't know?
No, I want to say that was quite well done. It's beautiful to be known more for your works than your own name. Just get the works out there and do what you got to do. So I think that was great and beautiful and greatly appreciated and happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For anybody who needs the correction, it is Marquis.
Marquis. Why do you want to say Marquez?
I don't know who you know named Marquez. That's a weird name. Like Marquis is so much more regular. I would think that was so much easier.
Marquis. Okay, I'm gonna remember that. Maybe because I would think the Q should be like a K.
Okay, that works.
So maybe that'll Marquez. Okay. We're gonna get it together, y'all. So y'all know his name for real. So all right, praise be to Allah. Now let's get started on today's episode, a family feud and the need for unity. And please, for my audience today, do not hesitate. This is your chance to get your questions out. Do not hesitate to put any questions you may have for our special guests in the comment section below that is in relation to today's topic. So, family feud can be tough, right? Leaving us hurt and divided, but deep down, we know that family is meant to be a source of love, unity, and support. In this episode, we will dive deep into why unity is so crucial, why knowing and understanding the huge role men and women play in rebuilding a family, how to work through disagreement, and how to bring all of our loved ones back together. Because marriage and family are the cornerstones and foundation of a great nation and critical to the very survival of the Black nation in particular. So that brings me to my first question for you. Now, I always start off by going to just like the root of where everything started off with you in this journey of working with youth as a mentor and philanthropy. So what inspired your journey in wanting to aid in the work of youth mentorship, philanthropy, and becoming a relationship advisor?
I think, I guess you got to start with everything is usually about experience, usually, and I was taught this. I remember the minister was saying that when things happen to you, it's probably in alignment with, you know, a mission or a calling. You're able to be able to relate to people more when you've gone through something. It's probably a lot easier to talk to people when it comes to drug addiction or anything like that. If you've went through it, you understand the psychology that they're going through. You understand why they, not fully why they do it, but you pretty much, for the most part, you know why you did it. So you know, your judgmental aspect of other people, you have a better understanding, because as a human, you relate to people. And so just being a human, being a person, and starting off in life, seeing the potential in my parents when they were together, and then observing when they weren't together, seeing the things that could have worked, you know, and the things that just didn't. You know, when I was younger, I was blessed to go through war enough to see enough abuse to live in shelters at a certain amount of time, where my family, with my mother, we lived in just multiple shelters where I was able to observe just different women of all different kind of races, different kinds of just what a family goes through, what children go through, the war that happens, you know, the just being in a place where the threat of somebody's father found the shelter, and how scared everybody is to see when, you know, when this thing goes left, how much what a woman's plight is versus, you know, us being on the other end of that, you know, of doing that, how it affects the children, being on this side of it as a child, and then being my mother's soldier to have to go through the war and do everything that needs to happen, and then observing what she held on to and what she utilized and what she used in the community that supported her and helped her, and then observing how she went back around to support the community, to also be the one who's out moving and doing what she's done, to see my father, who had struggled with a lot of things in his life, even though he ended up not being in our personal life later on, but also observing when he was around, how he trained, how he taught, and the things that, the potential he had, but also the things that got in his way. So just in that observation of just myself, and then having teachers and mentors around who, you know, you're growing up in South Central Los Angeles, you're seeing the world, and you know, you go through just a hateful time. I went through that, but then having mentors and different people set up that at a certain point, when the seeds they're putting into you starts to germinate, you know, you go through a process and you're like, I get it. And then the whole thing that you did to get to where you're at or where you plan to be, then you start to realize each one teach one. And and all of a sudden you have the ability to go out and help. And everything that's always was given to me, especially with the nation, was always to take whatever pain in our whole, everything we've gone through, to utilize it, to go straight, to go hard, and to not be quiet about it. I was able to observe and study leaders that, I mean, went through hell and always gave nothing but heaven to their people, always gave nothing but greatness, always stood on freedom, justice, and equality. So, you know, I feel like I'm breeded by the circumstances, by life, but by the word, and by those who really put it in me, but then circumstances manifest.
I love that. I love that. It's just that experience of life.
Right.
And you being able to look at other examples, other people as your role models in life. And I love that. They say, well, life is your best teacher, right?
It is. It is.
So I love that. Praise be to Allah. I actually want to get into my next question. I see we have already a question here. And it also gets me into just the work that you do with the youth. I really believe that in this time, more than ever, we really need more mentorship, really for young men.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of mentorship for women. You know, it's a lot of things catered for women. Not saying that we don't need it, we all need it.
Right.
But in this time, it's nothing more better than getting that mentorship for young men and young boys. So this will take me to my next question for you with our sister Ebony. She asked, wondering if Brother Marquis has any advice for a mother raising Black boys without the father or strong men in the picture.
I totally do. The first thing is to strive to whatever pain or anything that you may have gone through, because you know we're a lot to work with at the moment. To strive to not throw it on the son first. The first thing is, the pain of the mother's experience. So right now, as far as his relationship to men to men is based off of the relationship that right now the mother has. And if there's no one there, then at a certain point, you could just see what she's going through, what's happening in her life. And if you have the ability to stay solid, to stay strong, and to not bring around weird men around. A big saying in my life is my marriage mainly is I wanted to be to somebody what I wanted for my mother. I understood through her example that it takes two to make a relationship work, but it takes one to make it not work. And so if you do your part by showing that you have the ability to communicate, to show that you have the ability to rise above emotions, to work through this war, because it's going to be a war, then that first part of your example is going to at least give him an understanding of women, because you guys are like the mirror of us and we're the mirror of you. So in his understanding and his relationship to you, that's going to matter. But then the next thing is going to be offensive in making sure that even if you're not with men, that you're looking to keep him in environments that allow him to be able to observe men. If there are men who have a great a relationship or great marriage, for to be able to have an environment or setup that allows him to see that, to be mentored by that, to give him leaders and different people of Black men to see, and to see it in ourselves. I think it's important for him to see what we've done, to learn about the history of Black men who have done good, who have done right, as a counter. If you might not see as many today, then we start pulling from him and seeing him so that he can have something to look up to. My life, a lot of it was based off of what would this person do in this situation? At a certain point when I didn't have no one there, I would just go, what would, sometimes it'd be my cousin, or it could be my uncle, or be the good I observed in my father, be the minister, it'll be the captain, but in different scenarios, I'll always just think of someone and just go, what would they do? So to get him acquainted with the positivity that we have in Black men and that we've had in Black men, it's a big thing. And then to also make sure to keep him away in your personal life of making sure that you vet, and you, if you're doing courtship or however you're going to set up, that you vet whatever man you're going to deal with, because I am one who believes, and I know everyone's religious and we got what we got, but I stand on, it's better to have one sane parent than to have two people that are driving each other crazy. And yeah, I know we got to make this work, but all you're showing me is what not to do. I can't stand this whole circumstance. You're selling me. But if I could see one person that could just hold on tight and be solid, then I'll make up the rest. I'll make the rest happen. Just don't put that pain on me, and don't be irresponsible in the way that you approach your life, because his relationship to women is you. And if he has sisters, also use that. The idea of teaching him how to respect them, how to treat them, and to have a posture about other people who are dealing with them. To make sure that he is a safeguard, that he knows how to protect. We slowly give him ways to come in and be able to provide. But oftentimes when the man's not in the house, then at least our relationship to how we deal with women and putting him in a masculine place, to be the one, okay, we're about to go to sleep, lock the doors. When you come back in the house, have him go run around and check all the closets, make sure nobody came in. Start showing him his place, make him be it, you know what I mean? And ultimately, it can encourage a posture and start bringing power out of him. It could definitely work out. There's many of us who have came through very strong and on point and very balanced under strong, beautiful, balanced women.
Your energy right now is fire. I love it. Praise be to Allah, because sometimes, like, you just went straight forward with it. What we need to do as women, and I see a lot of young women, who are single moms that don't know what to do with our young boys and how to raise them, because of course we feel like because we're not a man, we don't know how to teach them, right? So I think that was such a beautiful, beautiful example. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much, sis, for that question.
Thank you, Sister Evan.
Yes. So I want to pull up this clip that you did. Okay. And I thought it was so profound. And I want us to get into depth with this clip. So give me a second here.
Peace to Zil and all those who are jumping in right now. Walaikum salam to all the family jumping in.
Let's see. Okay.
It is a struggle.
Listen. Okay, you guys. So I'm gonna play this clip. Hopefully you guys can hear it. This is my first time playing with video, y'all. So be mindful.
Here.
Okay.
In the game of chess, the queen is the most dynamic player on the board. She can move and do what no other player can do. The king, on the other hand, he moves one step at a time. Even though the king moves one step at a time, every one step that he takes, he holds the weight of every player on the board, because if he missteps, then he can be checked or it'd be a checkmate and they lose the game. The worst thing you can do as a king is try to limit the dynamics of the queen to your one-step approach, to not allow her to evolve and to live into her fullest potential. Because when she's at her best self, then the queen is not only great for herself, but she's great for the king and she's great for every other player on the board. The worst thing you can do as a queen is in your dynamics be so independent that you lose sight of every step that the king is taking. If you're not in line with every step the king is taking, then it leaves you vulnerable for them to take out the king. And make no mistake about it, the goal is to take out the king. So if you can pull the queen off and have her distracted, then you take away the most dynamic player on the board, which leaves the king vulnerable.
All right.
Praise be to Allah. I love that clip so much, and I love how you gave such a beautiful analogy of really why it's so important, which is going to take me to my next question. Like, why it's so important that us as women and men know their roles, right?
Yes.
So in what ways do men and women play a distinctive role in rebuilding and maintaining family unity?
Well, the good thing is, first of all, the idea of a man and woman, for us to be able to come together and be able to build together, is just such a beautiful thing, because ultimately it gives you an advantage. You're attacking life, and just life in general. To have a partner will make everything so much better if the communication is right. But the idea is that regardless to how we want to shape it, how we want to move, whatever we want to do, no matter what we want to say, we know that the prototype of the human being, in order for us to exist, is that there's a union between man and woman. That whether you're a heterosexual or homosexual or whatever you are, no judgment towards anybody, but we can never change that we are all here because there's a union between man and woman. Well, we know how to unite in a physical way, but do we know how to meet that on a spiritual way? Do we know how to meet that in a mental way? And when a child comes in the world and they're seeing two people that they're made out of, then they're learning about what's in themselves. Every boy, every girl has masculine and feminine inside of them. However, the way that we're produced and the nature that we're made out of, the woman can never outmask or be more masculine than the man. The man can never be more feminine than the woman. So the idea, but it doesn't mean that he shouldn't be in touch with that part of himself. It doesn't mean that she shouldn't have capabilities and have the ability to be able to operate and do things for herself also. So when the union comes together between a man and a woman, they're observing how these energies move, how they flow, but how one dominates one and how one dominates the other, and then how they communicate that towards each other. If we're in a world where it's just men, then there's going to be one way of communication, usually the way that we do. There's things that you have to think about. There's ways you have to operate. There's just, I promise you, I'm not wired to think certain ways until I find out I can. And that's when you're dealing with a woman, all of a sudden there's questions, there's details, there's stuff that's popping up that makes you go, oh, okay. Wow. I just blew, I just build a building. I'm building a building here. Oh, there's supposed to be art, So what happens is, and then the things you're fighting, all of a sudden you sit down in an environment that you didn't care about, that you didn't care to make up. And all of a sudden there's a part of yourself where you're like, I feel good. I feel better. I allowed her to express a certain energy. I allowed her to be her, and it's activated something in me that makes me feel better. But at the same time, I'm building, I'm doing something. But she might be like, that's hard. She might feel a certain way. But when the snow comes, when hell starts to fall, she's like, oh, I get why he went so hard. Like, I get why he built that the way that he did. So what happens is we get a chance through each other to better experience different energies within ourselves based off of two people that have the ability to dominate in these different areas. And in that video, that's also speaking to what our women have done yesterday, but also to a lot of the access and the way the world is today, the access that a woman has today. To act like a woman just has to operate the same way she did of yesterday it's not the it's just not. There's a lot of things you can't get rid of yesterday. No matter what you do, there's no formula that you can make that outdoes breast milk. I'm sorry. I know you're an astronaut, and I know you're the CEO of, but no matter what, if the child doesn't have you, he's still a step below the optimum way that we are made, and that's not even a religious thing. That's just the actual factual makeup of us. That's the oxytocin, the bonding chemical that she has when she has a child. But it doesn't change that for her to get a degree in different things that we can do with technology, the level of communication and all the stuff that we have, that we can be more dynamic and make a lot of things happen, and that we can have a partnership in a lot of things, that she can't use her business mind, that she can't, she might just been cooking at the house all day. All of a sudden she puts a camera on and she has a bunch of endorsements for cooking, for what she was doing at the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And outside of that, she also has degrees. So it's just saying that in this time, in the world that we are in, there were certain organic things that we have to have. There's balancing energies that we have to have. And then there's also opportunities that are here. And if we can work in a good partnership, we can show our children a dynamics and what power looks like and what they're made of.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Being able to allow the woman, like you said in the video, just express herself,
right.
And not, I think, a lot of the times as well too, just things that we see, online, and just things and everything that's going on in the world, especially that is surrounded women, kind of made us, be in a certain light and energy that has suppressed us.
Right.
And us, again, I believe, not us not knowing our role, or the men not knowing their role, to be able to help the woman, in a certain way to keep her, elevated, so she can, like you said in your video, to help in that foundation of that nation, right?
Right.
So that takes me to my next question. If you have any question for my brother, put it in the comment box now. We on our 100th episode as well.
Hello.
So go ahead and put it on here. Yes. Praise be to Allah. So it takes me to, I really want to talk about this, my brother. Hey, I enjoy your content.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoy it. You're so authentic, realistic, and truth. Like truth. You're speaking truth in more of a relatable way. Ways that, I'm young and even younger folks can really understand and grasp. But I want to talk about just the false narrative of just Black women. We have been given a very negative false narrative. And I just want to just dive deep in your thoughts on, like, how has the false narrative of Black women in particular hindered the development of building strong families?
Right. Well, we know that first we got to get access to her, right? So we know that the man that we're here. Well, excuse me, you coming for who? You coming to visit what? So we get him out the house. Now that we got him out the house, we got access. The idea, it all goes around the future, because even though we're in now, I got to pay my bills now, I got this now, I got to do everything now. The children are the future. No matter what happens, there's a bunch of leaders we don't know about, because children, it never passed on. There's a bunch of history we don't know about. And whatever makes it to us is whatever was important enough for children to get. There's a book buried in a library somewhere. And once somebody of today, somebody young, is able to grab it, even if you're old, you still are in the future. So that's the biggest thing, is how do we get to the future? And they know that, like they did with us in slavery. They had hell trying to break us. You can't make a free person a slave. They always know. They always know where they came from and what they were. So they'll always have them dreams that will bring them back. They understood that a better way to make a slave is to not break one, but to grow one. And you grow one by getting access to the mother. When you can get access to the mother, then that's the way that through her. And I don't know if you saw like on Roots, when the first Roots that was there, I think the daughter's name is Kizzy. And Kizzy went to go show her mother how she could draw in the sand. It was something like that, because she was trying to show her that she can write. Her mother slapped her. And she, now the mother is telling her immediately, do no education. That's the rule. She's doing this not because she's working against her daughter. It's not because she's working for her. For the basis of her survival, you cannot be intelligent. You cannot be smart. You cannot be this. You cannot be that. So you got to get it in her mind, because her love will do whatever it takes to protect her babies. And for longer, we were in this condition for longer than we've been in this condition. Slavery is so rooted that we would have to go another 150 years forward to meet the amount of time that we was in it. And then we would have to run into 100 years of an apartheid called the Jim Crow era. So people talk about how far back slavery is, but they don't think about how deeply rooted it is. We were here before, we fought in the Revolutionary Wars for them to even make up a flag, for them to even, that's why we take so much pride in the country, because we're literally like, we were here before the country was as we know it as today. We're deeply rooted into this. So when it boils down to it, at a certain point, as they kept seeing and kept doing everything to break us, to tear us down, to do all this stuff, they realized no matter what, there was always going to be an energy of rebels. There was always going to be an energy of conscience. There's always something that takes us back to that vibration of who we are. That's the reason why after hundreds of years, after indoctrinating us and doing everything they did, what, less than 50 years out, they found us running with Marcus Garvey by the millions. Like, they're literally like, we did all of this and they're still. So at a certain point, they realize you can't break us. You got to partner with us. And the way that you partner is you got to start growing us. You got to start. So they created false politics, a false idea of the Democratic Party, and started having us marry into that, and then started working to get the father out and then to get access to the woman. So as they started to get access to the woman, they put us in these conditions, these circumstances, right? First get the man out the house, and then started breeding this with the dad alone, with the father this. We know the man's off. We know he's drunk. We know he's lost. So now he's doing things against his own daughters. Now this is happening. So now there's a whole, I lived on this street called Figure Road. We called it Figure Horror. I've seen pimping in ways no one has ever seen it. I've watched pimps go out on the streets and train hoes. I've seen them, I'm talking 16-year-old girls. So you're devaluing this. There's an underground culture that's happening to us, right? Now, what do they do when they tear us down? Then the next thing they do is they exalt what they tore down, create the circumstances that makes the drug dealer, then make the drug dealer successful. So that people who are not even in that circumstance want to be from the hood, want to sell drugs, this is a way that they keep it revolving so that we start to be it. So now there's girls who have not even been abused. There's girls who didn't have to go through maybe what Cardi went through or somebody else to be at the strip club doing what they got to do. But even through what they went through, there's people that's being exalted to give this image that this is what you're supposed to be. And so this is a part of the completion of destroying the family, because even though we got the man out the house, look at how many of us still made it through going hard with beautiful women, with strong, driven mothers who still held it down for us, who still did so many things to balance out and move forward. And I bear witness because I have my mother. So it's like, okay, would I be me without her? I can't imagine where I would be with the union type. So in this time, not only do we have to breed a certain kind of woman, but we have to exalt that woman as if that was the only woman here. You can go back a few years and be in the 90s and see that there was more options of all these, it was like, well, there's a lot of other stuff. Then at a certain point, it just got ripped out and pulled away. And then they started exalting the women. And remember, a lot of this is based off of making us insecure, because everything we're fighting for is inclusion. And the way that they made our women insecure, I mean, think about it. A big part of femininity is beauty.
Yeah.
When someone tells you your hair isn't good enough, your skin isn't good enough, your lips are not good enough, your nose isn't good enough, feature for feature, they broke our women down. So then to make someone insecure is another way to make them unsecure.
because now the access that you can have to them, there's no reason for me to create layers for you to get to me, because I don't think I'm valuable enough for you to get to me. So you create an insecure woman, you highlight her and give her power, and then she goes and sells it to everyone else. You use the pimp culture to create the whore, and then you take the whore and exalt her, and she becomes the pimp that sells to other hoes. So ultimately, this is the war we're in now, that they haven't experienced as much at this level before us, where our women are being brought to the front. And then this is, someone say this last point, because this is important. There's a lot of men that's going to agree and go, yes, yes, yes. But this is the part of the war where we got to have balance. Our women have dealt with us for a long time, and we've done a lot of things, and they've stuck with us. All the way to sometimes when their own daughters will be like, I will never stick with a man because of how stupid you were, in my mind. So now in a time where they're directly got a chokehold on our women, it's not the time for us to now just overly highlight them and beat them down as if they didn't stick to us through the worst of everything that we've been through. So there's going to have to be a balance, whereas men, we see it, we do stand strong on what we believe, but we don't shoot through them. And that's the good thing that the enemy does with us, is they hold them in front of us. Oh, we got a White House now. You know our politics are terrible. Put her up now. Shoot through her. And many of us would love to, because we love to shoot through each other. So it's hard, because you're like, I know what I'm looking at, but I have to be balanced and be patient in the way that I deal, because ultimately the whole point still is to run against this. Shout out to Golden Child. Run against unity. So in the hour of where we're at right now, the word is patience.
Whew. Drop the mic. That right there. Oh, you touched on so much just within that. And you just broke down everything that we're actually seeing, what's actually going on right now. Wow. Praise be to Allah. I love that. And if you guys are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, 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 please show your support by donating today by texting the word donate to 937-313-2466. And if you all are enjoying all of the broadcasts here on CTGB Network, show your support as well. Information to donate will be shown on your screen below. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode. Family Feud.
$1,000 on it. No,
yeah. I know that's right. Praise be to Allah. Family Feud and a need for unity. You guys are enjoying this episode. Please put your firebox in the comment box. I'm really enjoying this episode. It's definitely something that needs to be discussed and talked about. So that leads me to my next question. Also, if you guys have any questions, put it in the comment box as well. So that leads me to my next question for you. Now, I spoke about just a little bit in the introduction how marriage and family are the cornerstones of a great nation, right? So why do you believe, I want to hear your perspective, why do you believe marriage and family are considered the cornerstone of a great nation? And how does this apply to our survival and our flourishness as a Black nation?
All right, let's get it. So first of all, what I love about history is history leaves evidence. So sometimes you can say, you know, what you want. I think this might be this or that and the other, but oftentimes in the stock market, people study when there's recessions, when there's depressions, when there's all these different things. And ultimately they say, oh, okay, this is the kind of company, the fundamentals that's most likely to work because there's enough history and there's a track record. Black people, after the fact of slavery, between, I believe, 1890 to the 1960s, we were the most to marry each other. We were the most. This is after slavery. This is through Jeff. So what are we talking about? We are talking about when we were now getting crucified for being free. The mass lynchings are after slavery. People think like we want reparations for slavery. We want reparations for an era my father was born in. Like this ain't so yesterday like what you think it is. The Jim Crow era was yesterday. And so ultimately, the way we survived through everything, a huge part of it was family. The statistics show that we married each other and we were there with our families. We had over 60 towns. We owned over 14% of the country's agriculture. Let's talk about it. We were building. We had movements. We were on a move. We got to think of it from this standpoint. When we came out of slavery, we're known today as like, say, lazy. We were the hardest working people in this country. The biggest plight they had was they used us. So they were the lazy ones who were like, well, what do we do now that the hardest working people are out working for themselves? Booker T. Washington was the big voice that when we came out of slavery that was out teaching around the country. He was pushing for us to do for ourselves. That was his whole model. White folks liked him because they liked the idea that it took them off of the responsibility of having to repair and give reparations. They liked the idea of, yeah, y'all go out and do it for yourself, until we was doing it. And after we was really doing it and moving and family and this and that, the other, because family transcends politics, religion. Before there was religion, we had to make people. Before there was politics, we had to make people. Before there was technology, before there was any of this stuff, we made people. And when we made people, the chemical, we studied it now. When you see the oxytocin, there's bonding chemicals in us that by nature, without a Bible or a Quran or any belief or any meditate, we by nature, something came up in us to go, I want to take care of this. I love this. And that means I have to feed this. That means that I have to shelter this. Well, when you think of the more rural it gets, the more savage life gets. If you're starting out and there's no building and there's no nothing, there's obviously a responsibility that the woman is going to have. The man can't make a child. The man don't know how to even love anything at the level of what a child is until a child comes. You go, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had these levels of feelings. So now you have a one-sided responsibility of a woman, I'm talking with no language, has your baby in her. By nature, you go, I got to protect that. Give me a stick. By nature, you go, it's going to rain. Let me build. So all of a sudden, family activates the nature of a human being to grow, to move forward, to do better. And so, but it also activates what a man is to do versus what a woman is because of the responsibility that she holds when it comes to the child. So ultimately, this activated in us in America throughout American history, and we had so many different societies that ultimately reflected that. Black Wall Street being one, they always bring it up. They talk about how they burnt down Black Wall Street. They don't talk about how Black Wall Street was rebuilt back up by Black people, Black families. We built it back up, and what inevitably stopped it was integration. Remember, we're going into 1965, we're going into the 60s. Before integration, we were marrying each other. We were building, we were structuring. They were burning it down. We were building it back up. We were getting madder and madder, Panther and this, and we were starting to, and no matter what they did to protect our babies, we had got out and got an ounce of freedom, and we were looking like they were turning us. They had recognized that we have to break that up. And the way that we do that is we've created in them a need for us. A need. I'm talking white versus Black. When we had the Black bathroom versus the white bathroom, the Black this versus the white that, the white woman versus the Black woman, that was stock. If we was a stock market, you would see numbers that represent the greatness of them versus our low stock. Now, I've been in a lot of exclusive places. I've been blessed to be in VIP stuff. I'm talking across the world. When I would be inside, I would take these notes in my mind. I'm talking sometimes with royal families where I'm like, whether it's Europe or other places, and I would go, look around. There's a lot of people not allowed in here. How is the food? Nasty. How are the people? Nasty. What really makes this so great except for the fact that people want to get into it? If you can control what people want, then that's how you empower things. That's how you can empower yourself. So through these experiences, I started to recognize this is what they did to us. By the time we got to them and we could finally eat in their restaurants, they had built this in our brain. We ate the food and ignored the reality that it wasn't seasoned. I don't even like this food. What are we even fighting for? What are we even doing? But now that you've asserted that I'm less and that I'm nothing and that I don't have nothing, you've built this thing that makes me want to be in your world instead of us. So that's why today, the family's not the cornerstone. Politics is. Because that's our unity with them. It's our ability to be able to go, okay, well, vote for them, encourage them, do this. Because in your nature, by any means necessary, you'll do what it takes for your children. But when you're out of your nature, you got to wait on them to bring critical race theory. And then if they don't do it, you got to settle with, okay, I know my child's not being empowered, and I just go along with it. You're not even in your nature. And that's a part of the breakup of the family, which politics played a big role in and working to do that for us. Bottom line is, we have the evidence of our history of how far we were coming in America after everything we went through. I'm talking so-called slaves. Go look up the Freedman Savings and Trust, the bank that Congress gave to us. They didn't give us no reparations, but they gave us a bank coming straight out. And when they handed the bank to us, we filled it up. Money, trades, things we were doing in the war. We had so much money in our banks, it was crazy. Over 17 franchises. We were moving. They didn't give us no money. They were hanging us and treating us bad, and then the country went, stole the money, and took the money. People think the hell is the slavery we went through, man. It's how they treated us for being free. And then they act like we freed you. You freed us. You was at war with each other. Y'all had a civil war. They were going to take the country, or you was going to get the country, and you wouldn't win it without us. So we went and fought and gave you the country, and you crucified us for it. And then want to remind us of what we took and what we did. It would have been a whole different country if we wasn't a part of that fight. You owe us. Oh, and not just that. When you fought the Brits in the Revolutionary War, we fought that to free you from them. And what did they do to you? Tax you? Oh, they started the Tea Party and started taxing us. And we're in slavery watching white folks get mad about the British taxing them. And they're feeling like, wow, why did this happen to us? And they're raping us. They just brought us so far out of our nature. And the good thing is, what's more natural than a man who comes to a woman and a woman who holds his future? He has to treat her like she's his future. He should mentally and spiritually without having a child, but she has a physical manifestation to let you know there is no future without me. I'm the portal.
The woman is the portal.
She's the portal.
Tell the truth.
Only way
oh
through.
My goodness. Hey. Praise be to Allah. I am loving this. Oh, praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for this. I'm so glad that you're touching on it. And just like I said, your energy, you're bringing the fire. Oh, praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And then, like I said, we getting close to the end of the show. If you guys have any questions you want to ask my brother about Family Feud and the need for unity, please put it in the comment box below. So, wow. And you know what I thought, like, and I said this before, like, before I joined the nation, I never knew about the transatlantic slave trade until I joined the Nation of Islam. And that just showed just like how much of a disconnect that I even had with history or even myself. So a lot of the times, we see, I'm pretty sure I'm not in school anymore as far as like public school anymore, but just seeing like what they are teaching our children. If I didn't know anything about that, all I knew about was the Holocaust. That was it.
Teach.
That's all I knew about. I never knew about the transatlantic slave trade, but I never knew the in-depth of trauma and pain that we went through as Black people. And it makes me look at life and people in society so different now. So with everything that you're saying, and you're bringing history into the future, is giving more of an in-depth as to why we have to be concerned about us getting back to unity.
It's funny how education is such a big one with that. The Honorable Mr. Farrakhan and the Torchlight of America talked about how important it is to teach this history, because it doesn't just, the same effect that you got, it doesn't just give passion for you, but it also helps create compassion for everyone here. There are so many people who are in this country that came from Africa hustling, that came from this other part of maybe Mexico or somewhere else, and people are hustling to get money doing, and they're looking at us like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, they don't understand. So without a real understanding of our history here, we're the easiest to judge. We're the easiest to judge because there's sports too. Thank you, Vincent. And so it's literally there's so many people who don't know, and we don't know. And education was the critical role because the way it was given to us. Let's think about this. First of all, you know about the Holocaust. Black history and how this was built out here is American history. Let's start with that. But I know more about German history. Yeah. More about German history, and politics verified that it matters more because we're watching today. Black people in politics don't think to themselves to say, hey, how do we get that kind of support? Why are we just voting for anyone when they're showing that in Israel they got free health care? All the free things you couldn't get and all the stuff, whatever, you're paying for someone else to get it. Do they deserve it? Do they not? That's not the question. The question is the things you said that we couldn't get for 100 years ago, they're getting for 100 years ago. So when it boils down, but the way we were taught in school, we went through all that we went through, which we don't know what we went through. It's just they went through stuff, sharecropping, and they made us look like we was farmers. Yeah. But it all ended with, I have a dream. That after you was raped, robbed, murdered, because you can call it a slave trade, you can call it a breeding camp, a rape camp. We were big business. This is why you can't play with the woman today. And the women don't know themselves. I'm loud because it's like, no, we're gonna be just as loud as everything is right now.
Yes.
You lived as a breeder. If you have 2 dogs that are rare dogs, and I'm not calling us dogs, but if you have 2 rare dogs, you paid for that one and you paid for that one. Do you want to pay for more? You breed them. So we were property. There was a value attached to us. They breeded us. 11, 12 years old, you're being breeded. Your daughter is sold off to somebody that you know is going to rape her. That you got to look in their face every day if you're blessed to even be around. They don't want to talk history because they know that we're going to all look and we're going to go, but this is where they're hurting themselves because we're resilient. They left us in corners to like, oh, okay, just let them die off. Let them sex themselves to death. But people like Elvis, like Eminem, they come growing up around us. And the truth is because classism still exists, because sexism still exists. There's white people who are mad at what white people do, because white people don't have a problem with hurting white people to get what they got to get and do what they got to do. So we started showing people how to, in a creative way, let your pain out. Here's the blues. Here's hip hop. Like, tell your story out. So what ends up happening is their children started selling it to them. They hated Elvis. Because of how much their children loved Elvis. They didn't even allow hip shaking on television. But they allowed it in our clubs. Oh, go ahead and sex yourself to death. Hit it popping. Right. Yin Yang Twins, we was twerking back then because it was, but way not on this level, obviously. So ultimately, what's happening is what you've covered over what you've done to us and never repaired, your children are getting hit with it. It was okay when we was all on drugs, but not now that you're having a problem with it because the greed and the capitalism and the money, you don't care who you shoot through. So you're creating enemies out of your own children. You just want money. So the bad diet they're giving it to them also. So ultimately we're finding ourselves where the law of reciprocation is coming back around and it's happening with their own children. They don't want us to be educated on what has happened because it will create compassion and understanding, and then it will make everybody go, oh, you owe them. You owe them. They didn't die for the vote. That was the only thing. Is that what Garvey had millions? Was that what they were dying for? The Nation of Islam was that what they died for? That was it? And voting is a tool. If I'm trying to build a house, I'm not dying to get the hammer. I'm dying to build the house. So the hammer isn't the only tool that you use. Don't take one tool. It is a tool, but don't take one tool and highlight it as it's the answer, because that's the tool that's about us with you, but not us with each other. I don't even know if you asked the question.
Listen, I am loving this fire. Praise be to Allah. Like I said, thank you so much. This is so beautiful. Like, and like I said, just touching back on history and how important that is, that we know our history.
Right.
Because like you said, it's with me knowing that now, it's like, wow, like my heart has changed in the way I look at people, places, and just the condition that our people are in, and our people are in now.
Right.
Because of what we've been through. And I know they talk about, it's a big word now about this, what I want to say, epigenetics, and just how we just have those conditions from just things that we've been through, and it's you know, it's embedded in us now. It's in our DNA because we went through so much trauma, which has also caused I believe the dysfunction of how we see families now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I like how you say written and encoded in.
Yeah.
The Bible said we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So that's why if you see on my thing where it says military training instructor, we have to be trained, as the minister said, back into our nature, because we're actually trained to think wrong, like shaped into it culturally, education, politics. It's crazy. So 1000% what you just said.
Yes, absolutely. Praise be to Allah. So I want to end this off with a good ending question.
Okay.
So, all right. So I would like to know, and something that we can do just as individuals, how can we strengthen family bonds and strengthen our family dynamic so we can get back to our original nature, us wanting to be married? Because I mean, just like I said, when I'm seeing, I guess I'm seeing more marriages now, but I really don't believe that they actually see they don't have real intentions about the marriage.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I seen somebody post that, you know, it's not about getting married, it's about staying married, right? So, question is, how can we strengthen family bonds to ensure that our families are a source of love and unity, and we can be able to support our communities?
Well, as we know, a family is an extension or reflection of yourself. So obviously, honestly, to not even love your family is a way of just not loving yourself in a way. So everything always starts with self. And it just breaks down to, now you're asking more from people who are married or people who are looking to, or not necessarily looking to be married, like this is more to a single, or I'm sorry, there's so many ways to approach.
Yeah. I mean, because you're approaching
let's go for
both.
It. Self is self regardless.
Yeah.
There's another thing. In marriage, people still stop recognizing that they have responsibility to themselves also. So one of the biggest things is to recognize that in yourself, this whole setup is a reflection of you. And where are you putting your frequency? I remember it was I did a podcast with a brother Alfred, and he was talking about how can you find your best self if you're not coming out of your best self. And so this is literally what ends up happening is from where we're at, that's from where we, choose to be with, instead of first taking our frequency up higher so that we can recognize. And that frequency is based off of the higher power. Now, call him Allah, call him God. I don't know what you call him, the universe, whatever you move at, but you're understanding that there is a higher part of self that is connected to something bigger than self. There's something bigger than of the meat, the body that we have. So in my own personal experience, I found that it was me and my wife were looking for the same thing. That's really what it was. And the closer we got to what we were looking for, the closer we got to each other. And so what ends up happening is if it's not going right, start looking back for that center point. Look for that center point, because it's the only thing that's really real. Your love is only real if there's something that's bigger than it. Remember, even though I'm married, I don't know if that can end today. I don't know when my life ends. The only thing that is real is Allah. So that helps empower me over loss, over the threat of loss. So ultimately, nothing replaces. Everything magnifies. This is Allah, and I'm manifesting that in my marriage. I'm manifesting that in my relationship to my children. If you don't have something bigger and above that, you can lose your children, or they can lose you. So there has to be something that's more infinite, that's bigger and above just you, and then how you communicate it. You can love Allah all day, you can love God, you can love Jesus, but if you don't know how to communicate it to each other, then it don't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It don't. I pick up the phone and I start talking to you. Hey, listen, the answer is 2 + 2 is 4. It's 4. And then you come back and your test says 7. And then I get mad and start yelling at you about, I gave you the answer. I gave you the answer. But did you say, hi, hi? Oh, was there two-way communication? Did you make sure I was receptive? Did you make sure I could hear you? So before we even give the information, we make sure there's a two-way communication. Because two atheists could still have a great marriage if they know how to communicate. I've watched many people who believe in Allah, who believe in God, who believe in different forms of Allah, not communicate right and still have the same thing. God is not separate from law. You could say, I love God, and then walk off a building and still break your leg. You don't respect the law of gravity. You have to respect the law of communication. And if the atheist stands up there and says, well, I don't even care, but he don't walk off, well, he didn't break his leg. He respected the law, even though he didn't know that he was respecting the law. So ultimately, you got to not separate law from our interaction, from the way that we deal with each other. We have to make sure that there is laws in our communication. There's rules, there's pacts that we are making to make sure that we are thriving, that there's proper handling, proper communication. Yes, I have something I want to tell you. You're getting on my nerves. But if I say it like that, that might be a lot. So let me take you to dinner. Let's eat for a second. And now let me start off with saying, is there anything I'm doing wrong that you want to talk about? There's a two-way communication. And then being mature enough to be able to receive that what's coming to you. And then you could show them how to take correction by going, okay, I can do better at that. The natural instinct is there anything I could do better? Let me get my list. Everything. No, I'm joking. But I'm a fool. But ultimately, it's about understanding that there's laws that can govern us, that can make us hit the optimum point when it comes to food, when it comes to eating, and marriage runs through all of that. People say marriage is hard. That's a way to say life is hard. Or life is great. Or life is beautiful. Life has many ups and downs, and whatever you feel is how you're going to paint it.
Yeah.
Well, when you have marriage, you have two lives coming together. It's not that it's so hard. It's that life now has two lives working together. And we could be a pillow that makes the hard easier, or we could be the person stabbing the person to create more problems. I'm going to meet you, and I know you married me of yesterday. But in life, I'm about to go through an experience I've never had. It's going to shock me how I react. Because I never had this before. That person didn't die before. When I was married to you, that person was alive. I never had a baby before, but when I was married to you, I had never went through this with my body. I never went through postpartum. So I'm about to go through experiences that I've never went through. And what marriage does is it challenges you for what you may not be able to do for yourself sometimes. You're able to do it for someone else. I got to be better. As a man, I take the walks. I got to be better right now because she's there, because Lord knows I'd rob everybody on this block.
Yeah.
Because when I didn't have her, I was out there. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you start to learn that you're like, oh, you got children. It makes a man, it balances you. Because you look and you go, okay, I'm going through life, but now my responses are different now. It makes me have to think beyond myself. And that's a way to be able to think about community.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not going to just go crazy at the car next to me. He might be going through what I'm going through. He might be rushing to a situation that I have. If I just bulldoze his car, he might have children in his car like I had yesterday. Children, marriage, this thing of your personal world helps you learn how to communicate with the world outside of you. And when we operate from that nature, the children taking over the streets is done. Because black men, like we've done in the past, will naturally go, hey, bro, you live next door, you live next door, you live next door, and you live next door. They shot the block up. We know the cops don't care. These is children. These was my boys. These gang members are ticklish. They went to junior high with your boy. Like, I know your government name. You ain't this blood. I know who you are.
Yeah.
But I know what we're in that's pulling out the worst of us. So when men by nature could look at the next house next to them and they walk out and say, you know what? We may not be able to save the world, but this block, they're going to know this ain't the block to do it on. We're going to meet at them with love and with strength. And as we do that, like we've done in the past, that's when we start to find and act or reveal who's really behind it. This is the good thing about what the messenger did, because the messenger created a code that made it hard for agents to thrive in. It made it very hard. You got to remember, the first federal black FBI agent was hired. We love inclusion. The first federal black FBI agent was hired to infiltrate the UNIA and take down Marcus Garvey. So everything after that was fused with that understanding. The Nation of Islam, the Panther Party, the Guerrilla Black, everybody's riddled with agents, riddled. So it would be about what law and code and construct you could set up that takes away their steam.
Yeah.
So when you have a place where, if my job is to come in and kill, but you disarm me, well, it's hard for me to shoot people inside of this place because they have a code that doesn't allow that. So we have to go to the next step. We create problems. But with these people, they have what you call restrictive law. And that restrictive law doesn't allow them to slap talk and to gossip. So when I want to talk about what someone else has done or whatever, a brother will report me to a captain who will sit me down, and now someone's questioning me. And we're starting to, through this, and with this intent, we're locating where the agent is. So the agent started to learn, these are people we have to deal wisely with because they're the most disciplined black people in the country, and they follow a structure that's given by who? We call him the messenger. You call him what you want to call him, but I'm going to tell you this much. He created a structure that they never beat him. They never beat Elijah. They put him in all the jails. They ran all the propaganda. They did everything that they can do, but they never beat that man. He set structure and infrastructure that didn't allow for them to be able to move up and plot on him or do anything. I love black people, but black people kill black people. How many of our leaders did we lose from black people killing black people? So Elijah Muhammad, look, he goes, yeah, okay, check that man. What is he doing? He's acting to put him out. He can't be amongst us. He can't be around. We got children. We got schools. And there are agents amongst us who are working to do. So when you look at the culture we're in, it's a counterculture to what he gave. Our news source are slap talk gores, gossip scores. It's the perfect place to create problems. It's the perfect place to create civil wars amongst gangs. These gangs are fighting each other as if this traced back to Africa. What made y'all so mad at each other? We were cool back in the 50s. What is this? Who did this? Oh, the masculinity was whooping behind here. We wasn't playing when it came to them. So they realized they couldn't kill it. They just had to redirect the energy on each other. Have that black man go after the black man. Have that black man not care about his children. Have that black man turn on his woman. Because they could never get rid of the God in us. They could only redirect it. So that's why when we were talking unity, we're talking about something that's indestructible. But they're utilizing it for us to implode. We're out marching. The white man, you. The white man, you're the gerbil running your own system. You're white supremacy. We out here trying to talk about police brutality and this and that. Look, you can't even locate the enemy until we start with where we're at. You'll find exactly who it is. We've done it 1,000 times. I grew up with children whose grandparents were sent to infiltrate the nation. There's nothing like sitting down on one of those conversations and when they tell you about their instructions and what they were supposed to do. The nation became an underground railroad later on by the time the minister comes. So a lot of what I've seen from just being connected to people who are ex-Panthers, people like the great Captain Shaheed, my cap out in the West, Captain Halim, Minister Malik. Come on now. There's so much to pull from. And the farther you go back into history, the Dr. Avas, that was my first understanding of what a woman can lead. Yeah. To see somebody be like, whoa, I never heard no one like this. So it's like, and that's the beauty. They don't want communities like that give us evidence and proof of what we're made of. So when it comes to the relationships and all the stuff of us moving forward, we got to have intent. We have to love ourselves and constantly work on keeping our frequency up and manifesting that into laws. And then that word, patience. Patience with yourself. Patience with your children. Patience with your enemy. Patience with your man, patience with your woman, patience with your parents, patience with your adopted parent, patience patience, patience. That's the number one requirement. The nation being disarmed with guns forced that. Because when our enemy turn us against each other, you're going to want to kill each other. And any person who doesn't follow that law creates chaos. You're out shooting, brother, whatever you're doing, you can't save our people with that, because they're going to activate something in you that's going to make you go, you know what? So when you're disarmed, you're able to create treats. You're able to go, whew, you got to be creative.
Yeah.
All right. You got to disarm yourself against your spouse. Disarm yourself against your children. They're going to make you want to. You're going to look like, okay, little, you acting hard. You know, it's a war, but ultimately, you're a microcosm of the macrocosm. You're starting with you. I'm not the leader of this community. I'm not leader of no religion. I'm not nothing. I'm just me. I was blessed with the responsibility to be the leader of me. And by that, I'm able to multiply and lead that. And then when I resemble that with my family in a partnership with my wife, does leading mean I'm the smartest person? No. That's what I meant by that chess, analogy, is that, bro, she got a mind. I'm telling you, if you listen to her, you might be like, oh, we figured this out. I was sitting here thinking that leadership meant I had to be the smartest person in the room, that I led everything. It doesn't work like that. Be quiet. She might, all of a sudden she's at the table, like, you're like, oh, I was struggling that for 5 years straight. You just handled it in 5 minutes. Oh, you were a person before me. Wow. So ultimately, there's this, it's a certain level of balance, emotional intelligence, but it's all about seeing the family as a reflection of you. And then when you create that, as you're climbing that rope, you look to the left or you look to the right, you'll notice who's doing that. You'll go, oh, hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing? Okay, I see what y'all on. Whether it's in your religion, whether it's whatever, y'all get close. Next thing you know, a bunch of other people done did it. Y'all got a school for all of us who think alike. Or we got so close, all of a sudden our children got close, and now they're marrying each other. Signs of mating. So what we're doing is we're creating through my life. I'm plugged in. I came out of whatever I came out of, but through a union, I can produce children that are unplugged from the matrix. It doesn't mean they're not in war, but they're unplugged. I want to make this point. Matrix, I just love that movie.
Yeah.
In the Matrix, I think a lot of people forget that the part where Morpheus, he looks at Neo after he shows him everything that's going on, and he holds up a battery and said, it's all for this. And what he meant by that was AI, your enemy, has you in a matrix so that you can energize them. They can't survive without you. So they have you lost in a system, and all the energy you're giving, all the things you're doing, they need you to survive. This is the history of us in America. There was never an America that would have happened without us. And that understanding is why they give us breadcrumbs and do certain stuff, because the thing you're arguing about, the thing you're fighting against is depending on you. You're a battery. So the first thing that you're doing is you're looking to take your energy and connect it to a different source. To connect it to something that's greater than them, because they've limited us to them. And so at a certain point, and that's what the message is able to do, we rely on Allah and each other. Then all of a sudden, the energy is going to where it got to go to. Now, I want to also say this part about the Matrix too. Someone in the movie, I think it was Morpheus, when he said the Matrix, the design, which is where people are at, where they're living, the false thing. He said, it used to be a utopia where everything was great, but people kept waking up from that. So they had to make it the life you live, Neo. See, it's hard. See, if you're up, trained right, education right, everything is good, and you're in your creative space, when someone tries to use your energy or battery, you wake up like, oh, wait, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm coming out a different frequency. But if every day is about chasing bills, everything is about, oh Allah, I seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief, from debt, I seek thy refuge from depression of men. It's just, if everything is about, so their job is to make you feel like you're not a limitless being. It's just to make you feel so, and you realize it's a choice you make. It's just at one point, you're just like, my freedom and justice and equality is bigger. It's bigger. And that's how our leaders were able to sit in a cell inside of hell and be free? How can you be free? Because I'm free. No matter what condition or place you put me in. Read the letters of those who was in the jail with the Most High Elijah Muhammad. When they talk how when it was time for them to get out, they're literally sad. They wanted to stay in there with the messenger.
Wow.
How can a place that's supposed to be bondage free you? Because there's a frequency. In the beginning was the word. And if the word is translated in a cell or whatever it is, it activates power. So your job when you come out is to manifest that in a real world. God didn't just give a word and then just, all right, go to sleep. If he sent prophets, if he sent books, it's because there was a job to do to manifest that word. So when you manifest it, you look, I feel better. I feel like my frequency is up. What's my future? All right, now that I'm climbing, is there anybody? Oh, look at her. She climbing. All right. That's the portal to the future. Where are you going, brother? You smart? You need her. Even if you like brothers. If you want a future, it got to come through the portal. Even in that lifestyle, as much as y'all want to say what y'all want, a man and a woman got to make that child for someone to remember you.
Yeah.
That's facts. That's not religion. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, the optimum way of thinking would be, first, I'm leveling up. Why is it me first? Because if I'm leveled down, I just get with somebody and our frequencies balance out. Balancing out by me either bringing her frequency down or she balances out by being smart enough to get away from me. So it's going to balance out either way. And if she stays and we create, whatever this frequency is, it'll balance out by creating a rebel child who's going to look and go, oh, I saw what was happening. That's a good thing about a child growing up in this stuff. You're like, y'all didn't know I could hear you.
Yeah.
When you was being a hypocrite. So either way, it's going to come back around. So when you're trying to your frequency is going up, you look over to the right, you look to the left. And that's the thing. From this place, hey, I see you climbing. Here, let me stand on you so you can push me up. No. Here's what I got. This is how I got this way. How did you get there? Okay, cool. All right. Wow. Now I'm climbing faster and you're climbing faster because we're both bringing something to the table. And the first thing we're bringing is the frequency. Not, did you cook? It's like we enjoy talking to each other. So ultimately, this is it's literally the microcosm of the macrocosm. You start here. And if I could do it here and I'm solid here, then now we look around and then you can recognize real families. And then when we start getting really smart with it, we moving by each other. We're this by each other, but it got to go by law. Because no matter what, when there's something good happening, that enemy goes, oh, they over there. And if they over there, we over there.
Yeah.
So how do you find them? That ain't a part of the code, brother. That ain't a part of the law. You sleeping with this person's this. You slack talking about that. You got some. No. That's not what. No. You're either them or you're infected by them. That's another thing about the matrix. The agent always could turn into any person that's plugged in.
Yeah.
So you can only tell by what they're doing. You're literally looking, going, okay, I only know what you are. Because you was you yesterday, but you can turn devil overnight.
Ooh.
So the ultimate thing is, it's not personality, it's code. You're off code, bro. You're off code, sis. And that's not good for the babies, for the community. That's not good for where we're moving at. You just can't imagine that you're really being antagonized. But if you learn your own history, you go, I can't imagine that these people would ever stop antagonizing us. History gives us that. I don't know what the question was, but I was saying.
Listen, I forgot my question. You was
talking about marriages coming together and being able to move for the long term, for the long goal.
Yeah.
And ultimately, last thing on that too.
Go ahead.
Every challenge that comes in, it makes you challenge yourself. The things that I refuse to do better for me, my wife demands it.
Yep.
I could just avoid this. I'm the kind of guy who they would give me parking tickets. I'd be like, I'll throw it away and end up in jail. So when you got someone who's there, that part you kill in your brain, that person is speaking to you. And since you're used to killing that part, that person's annoying. Because it's like, I only know to kill that energy because I kill it in myself, and you're here doing it. So I'm treating you how I treat me.
Ooh.
So it puts you in a position where you go, you got to have a conversation with yourself. Okay, I can no longer ignore this intelligent part of myself because she's here, and it creates chaos with her. And it's been creating chaos with me, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm self-destructive. There's so much we get out of it, and there's no skipping it. Whatever you do in the community or in the religion, your children are gonna be the ones to tear it up. Oh, we are all perfect people. Yep. Did you get them? Because while we're doing all this, the enemy's getting them. That's where he's looking at. He don't care about what you know the old world. If you was here in the 90s or anything, they're like, we know you know that world. This world is all they know. I remember the movie, the show, The Walking Dead, when he was talking about his son, Carl, and he was just like, he's able to move through this because this is all he knows. This is regular to him. So that's what they're doing. It's called fair seeming. It's normal. So as we're going and we're saying all this stuff, they're like, say what you want, argue, you're going to die. But for them, it's normal. So unless you are in a home fighting based off of what you're teaching there, based off of the structure you're building there, we got them everywhere else. And what you do in your home will change where you go. Okay, this school wants to do this. They were the critical race theory and blah, blah, blah. Okay, y'all want, okay, good. Take our babies. Let's go. Let's go.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to sit here and vote our way out. How long does that take? Okay, well, this president came in or this person came in. He's moving slow. She's moving slow. So that's what, 4 years now we waiting? 4 years. So from 9th grade to 12th grade, I lost a whole child. His whole high school year, he was, what self-respecting human being would wait on somebody who historically never, are they just moving slow? But you will see them move quick for those people in the Middle East. So grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still want, a lot of us slaves did that, left the slave home, and then at a certain point was like, it's kind of hard out here because they were making it hard. They were burning and torturing us. They was go read the book Without Sanctuary. The pictures alone will leave you stuck. But there's some of us who are like, I'm gonna go back to slave master home because it's hard out here. Jail, we're the same way. That's slave master's home. 13th Amendment never said we're free as slaves. It just gave conditions on slavery. If you're a criminal. So they created environments to make criminals and then put more of us in jail than we're actually in slavery. And some brothers are so institutionalized in there that when they come out, the world is too fast, it's too chaotic. So they go right back in.
Yeah.
Just like we did in slavery. It's a mentality. We're at war with our own thoughts. Oh, black man, it's the white man who did it. You was here for trillions of years. How did he get the jump on you? You at war with yourself. You made a people.
Boom. Woo. Wow. I'm leaving this episode speechless. My brother came with the fire. Oh, praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Marquis.
Oh, there it is. I've earned her respect. There we go. We got the name. Thank you so much.
I did it.
And thank you for your questions too. Your questions, they bring out. I was an idiot before you started asking questions. I said, oh, okay, I can say that part. Okay, that was a good question. So sometimes they unlock the right information.
Yes. I always try to go in depth with the questions because I'm very in depth, and you really brought out the answers with those questions. So I'm just so grateful to have you on the show. I want to say thank you so much for coming to discuss this well-needed topic, Family Feud and a need for unity. I would also like to thank my amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today. Of course, I pray that this episode was informative, valuable, and healing for you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast station. Of course, closing the Gap Broadcast Network on YouTube. It's actually called, let me go back, CTGB Network. Let me go back because I'll always mess that up. I want to make sure you guys know the right YouTube to go to for the CTGB Network because we had to get a new channel. Give me a moment. Yes, CTGB broadcast on YouTube and Healing with Angelica on Facebook and YouTube to help spread this message of a light and healing to those in need. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey and don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist. If you'd like to get started on your healing journey, please text the word READY to 937-313-2466. Also, be sure to join the Healing Tribe merch. We're going to get into the cold season here shortly. So just make sure you join the Healing Tribe as well and get our merch. If you'd like to get some of the merch, you can text TRIBE to 937-313-2466. Also, my new ebook is now available. Thrive. Yes, my new ebook is now available. It's called Thrive, a guide for young Black women to reconnect with self and God. Now, this was for the promotion for the Lion Gate portal, so it's over with now. It ain't 888 no more. But this is a picture of the ebook. If you guys are interested to get me a copy today, just text the word Thrive to 937-313-2466. Information will be all down on the screen below. And also, one last thing, I just want to say thank you all. We are on our 100th episode. Praise be to Allah. Just want to give everyone who has made Healing with Angelica what it is today. My beautiful guest, my guest today who made the 100 mark.
Hello.
And got us into this new journey. Praise be to Allah. I just want to say thank you guys so very much for you guys' support. Now, Brother Marquis.
Yes, there it is.
Brother Marquis, before we end today's show, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today? And please let our audience know about your show. Like, I love your content. I love the show. It's like comedy and truth. Like, we need that, right?
Right. So I guess it's in the end. First is thank you for everybody who did tap in, and then all those who will be in after the fact later, because I know that they'll post this. Thank you to Sister Angelica. Thank you to Sister Ebony, who said great episode. Thank you so much, Queen. And just ultimately, I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to be of service of just anything. So I want you guys make sure that my handles are Marquis_Henri. As you see it, on there. I just activated my YouTube. I had one, but I just didn't, really do it. So I got content that's coming there. My long form content is coming there. You got to have a stomach. I'm a fool, but I for some reason my family it closed it. We, no matter what war we went through, a sense of humor was always a part of. It was the design of my mother, so it just became the design of me. And so we'll sit there and laugh like, yeah, we might die tonight, like, and we'll all laugh and say it, like, so it was just really, so when a big part of things is sometimes if you dig too deep in what we're going through, it could leave people in a place where where you could feel down about things. So humor and different things like that. I love what this show is called. Is what caught my eye when you reached out and it said healing, and I said, that's it. Like, that's the word. No matter what we're doing, no matter what, go read Without Sanctuary, and after it's done, have a balancing. I know my wife, she always does, where we watch something too scary at night or something, she's watch a cartoon after. You know what I mean? Like, so when she goes to sleep, she feel a little better. So balance everything out. No matter how much, anything is, we don't want to be left with a tone. No matter what, we don't want the frequency to be low. Sometimes that's what truth does sometimes to us. And sometimes things are so truthful that it can leave us in a place where if we don't have that balancing truth that lets us know, hey, you are you. And no matter what you're going through, I love the part where Allah says he tries his favorites. So there's some of us who are like, I'm Allah's favorite. Like, you love me because I'm tried. So, but those counter thoughts that make you go, okay, this is the war that I'm in. Any weight that's on you, it could be used in two ways. That's my last words. One, it's on top of you and it crushes you. Or two, you use it as a way to build muscle and to build strength. That's mentally, that's spiritually, and we have it physically. So ultimately, when things come at you, it's not what it's doing to you, it's what it's doing for you. Ooh. If your mindset is right.
That was a message for me. That was a message for me. I love it. Wow. Praise be to Allah, my brother. Thank you so much for joining us today again. Again, thank you to my healing tribe and those who have been supporting this journey for 2.5 years. Inshallah, we'll be growing and expanding. You'll get more of me, with some shows. So I just want to again thank you. And we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light.